My name is
What a
Steve Puttrich. I'll do a formal introduction. I've been an artist pretty much my whole life. I went to the American Academy of Art in 78 to 81, studied architectural rendering as my major, and for the last year, the third year of my studies there, I took watercolor in the morning with Irving Shapiro and oil painting with Eugene Hall. And it was probably the best year of my life because of just the wealth of knowledge I had from those previous 2 years, fundamentals, and then life drawing. 2 years of life drawing really helped in kind of cementing those fundamentals. And I met a girl there I would marry eventually. Her name is Bobby, and we just celebrated 40 years of marriage this year. So
fabulous.
yeah. So I'm fully retired now, painting and teaching wherever we can, and we love traveling and just kind of going over our Paris paintings we just came back from. So
Oh, Steve, do you have a studio now?
we do. This is our home studio in Arlington Heights.
Oh, I know Arlington Heights.
Yeah, just kind of 20 miles, 25 miles
Hmm.
northwest of Chicago, and we kind of had our kids here and love gardening out in our backyard, and so it's fun. Painting often out there.
Okay.
So anyway, back to Paris. Yeah, we just came back from Paris. We spent 3 weeks there, 2 weeks in Paris, and then 1 week in Provence. And highly recommend if you've never been to France, make it a priority. It is beautiful, and for artists especially, it's an art loving city, an art loving country for that matter. Everywhere we went to paint, we were welcomed and encouraged. And I don't speak maybe 10 words of French, and everybody else there speaks English, and so it's pretty pretty amazing country. So anyway, the Tuileries were fantastic to paint. So we painted there about a week.
Oh, that's
Oh,
beautiful.
wow.
There's more of the apartments along the street there, and then the gardens are just flourishing. This one was kind of a special one in that. Oh, and we just take raw canvas and we
Hmm.
tape it up to a board. That way, we brought 4 boards with us, and by the time 2 days go by, these things are and left out on the balcony. These things are pretty dry.
Now, are you painting in watercolor when you're there? You're not doing pastels?
No pastels. These are oils.
Oh, they're oils.
We just brought our oils. I did bring watercolor, but I didn't pull them out. But this one is kind of a special one in that I had a family of 7 come by, a mother and a father, and 5 kids. They're visiting Paris. They were from Boston area, and I invite people often to paint on the paintings that I'm painting, and it's just a joy to see them make their marks, and they get so much out of it. And so each one of the kids, made a few flowers down in here. The dad made some marks up in here, and I think the mom did these flowers down in here. But it was so fun to just kind of share the joy
Mm-hmm.
of painting with total strangers. You may never see them again in your life, but I have this painting. If they want to buy it, it's theirs. But it has so many memories coming back. And you could travel and walk and take, which we did. We took tons of pictures for references for future paintings.
Did you work with a limited palette, Steve?
No, I have a full palette.
Okay.
There's occasionally where I'll limit my palette if I have like a real time constraint, or if I'm just doing a quick color study and it's kind of like a very tonal painting. Then I'll just squeeze out the colors I need on the palette.
How long do you spend on these? How long did you spend on these paintings, or did you finish them back here?
Well, no, these were not touched after I painted them out there. So this one would take maybe an hour and a half. The little bigger ones, no more than 2 hours. I would spend on these.
Wow.
There's another one of the a vertical of the Louvre and the gardens. There's the Louvre and the statues. And then we moved to one of the islands. It's the island where Notre Dame is. We stayed right along the Point Neuf bridge, and that's one of the views of the bridge, the buildings, and the lanterns up there. There's another view looking the other way. Oops. We stayed in these buildings here, and then we just wheeled our materials up and around, and we stayed in one of these little circles and painted the view. And again, highly recommend going out and painting. And wherever you go, there's so many memories made from each painting that will fill volumes of books. The people you meet, the experiences you have in painting those are just priceless. And as artists, we're so fortunate that we have the gift of creating art, whether it's pastel, watercolor, oil, whatever medium you're using. You're just making these capturing these moments, and it's just a joy and delight to share that with people, and they walk away with a newfound respect for the arts, because they're seeing it being made right then and there, and it's everybody is a winner after seeing that. So if you haven't done plein air painting, what are you waiting for?
Do you usually take a sketchbook with you to do preliminary work?
I do. That's a holdover from Irving Shapiro. And Irving Shapiro would we'd always paint from photographs. So, but his approach to value studies was, and here's my sketchbook from Dubuque. I held a workshop there, but
Great.
they're just real little value studies, thumbnails that helps me slow down and really challenges me to see the scene in its most simplest way, in the three values of light, medium, and dark, background, middle ground, foreground shapes. And if you can break your scenes down into that simple of shapes, your paintings will be so much stronger. It's there's a little value study I did last week. We did my wife and I did Bluff Strokes, which is a Dubuque, Iowa plein air event. It's a week-long event, and we were at the Arboretum, which they have a very beautiful arboretum and lots of little scenes to paint. There was a koi pond. My wife did a nice koi painting, and I did a scene just looking opposite the koi pond down a little ravine, and there were these trees, and I was intrigued by the light that was behind these two trees, just forming a nice gentle slope, and then the vertical of the trees. So I have my darks in here, my light having a nice contrast between the light and the dark, and my middle values are all supporting that. And it's just a really nice composition, 1/3, 2/3. As soon as I drew this out, I knew it was a winning painting before the brush even hit the canvas, because I saw it here first. And I have little notes here. It says, cool gray to warm light. It's just little notes I have for myself. Sunlight up in here coming through. These little notes that I write to myself as I'm sketching the scene. And here's the photograph of the scene here.
Oh, what a beautiful place.
Okay, so the email that Margie sent out, had the painting in there,
Mm-hmm.
the very first painting, and it was it won an award. It won second place in the regional, in the rural category. So that's the
Yeah,
painting
so pretty.
there. Y'all see that in the scene. And if you follow me on Facebook, I posted a little video of the scene and the painting. After it's been painted, I'll pan over to where the scene was and then pan back to the whole.
So you didn't change much of the scene.
No, I exaggerated some of the brightness and the light in that area. As the sun was passing through the trees, I'd get these bright spots every now and then I'd look there and I remember it, and that's what I'd paint. But by the time I videotaped that whole scene, the light has changed completely. So it really didn't match the painting after it was painted. But that's the challenges of plein air painting: constant changing of light and
Called Chasing the Light.
chasing the light. Yeah, you don't want to chase the light. So that's why making these little value studies are so important, because this has most of the information I need to make a successful painting. So that scene can go away. I have cool grays, warm light. This is all I need to make that painting again. Plus, a nice photograph.
Now, did you tone your canvas before you started? I mean, occasionally what I'll do is I'll tone, like if it's a garden, a green, light green over it or whatever. I mean, do you do that, or do you just go right in?
If there's time, I'll demo my start.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, there's time.
I have to paint another one anyway.
Okay.
This one sold at the show, and another couple came up and said, "Where's that painting?"
Yeah.
We wanted to buy it. And I go, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Somebody just bought it." He goes, "But I can paint you another one." And so I have to paint a slightly bigger one. This one This one is an 18 by 18.
That's a nice size.
Nice square size. I love
Uh-huh.
doing squares, but this one I'm gonna do is a 24 by 30. So
Oh, all right.
a little bit bigger, a little bit different format. And it's just a fun way of painting. One thing I do want to showcase, and if you follow me on Facebook, you're going to see these popping up every now and then. I took this with me to France, and it's a little tool that I'm making, and I'm going to hopefully market and sell these. But it's a viewfinder that I could pop out a window that is a 11 by 14 or 16 by 20 ratio, and I can look through that window at that scene, that pumpkin patch is a 12 by 16 format. See if I can get that in there. So I use this to kind of frame the scene up. The little tick marks here kind of show the golden ratio. So I'll have a line here and a line here, and that's where my golden ratio should be in the scene. That's where I want to put my center of interest. Along the sides here are Edgar Payne's composition types. So the scale,
Oh, that's cool.
the O, the S curve, the U, the triangles, the crosses, radiating lines, C and L shapes. We got the steelyard, 3-spot, group mass, scattered, diagonal tunnel, silhouette, and patterns. And then up here is a nice grayscale for you to kind of compare relationships to your scene with the correct value that you're painting. But you could pop these open. Now I'm getting more into the more of the golden ratio. We've got a 4 by 6, 12 by 18, 16 by 24, and then this one is got more of a 5 by 8, a 10 by 16, 30 by 48 ratio. So this is your absolute golden ratio of a rectangle. This is like 1 to 1.6, 1 to 8. So these will be on the market soon, but I'll look through this looking for a composition. This reminds me of my composition types, and then I'm kind of looking for those good scenes in the landscape.
I wanted
Wonderful.
everybody else to know if they have questions that they should unmute themselves or put it in chat. Okay, I'm sorry, Steve.
That's okay. So I put that through the rigor through the ringer in Paris. It came out successful. It helped me create good compositions that I could paint while I was there. I used that in Dubuque to help me, frame those scenes that I can paint, and I'll use that to demo the start of this painting as well. This will take probably about 4 hours to paint. The first 20 minutes of the painting is about 80% of the way done. So you'll see how fast I work. I'm a fast painter, and just get it down and leave it is my motto. So any other questions? Oh, let me show you a few more paintings. This was we had a little pumpkin patch in Dubuque, Iowa that we got to sit in and paint.
It's beautiful.
I love pumpkins. And then we have a daughter and son-in-law living in California, and we got to go to Placerita Canyon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pull that forward. And so Placerita Canyon is the location where they first discovered gold in like 1890, 1849 or something like that.
49.
And so from photographs, I would take photographs, and again, looking for that light, middle value, and dark areas, background, middle ground, foreground, to simplify the scene and just kind of create those shapes. This one is it's that first wash. This one took me about maybe 20 minutes to do, but this is the underpainting of a painting that I entered into the OPA, a smaller version of this, and it actually won an award. So I'm doing a bigger version of this, and using all transparent paint. So that it actually is glowing green and yellow and orange when you look at it.
Now, do you put a glossy varnish on it, or when you
it's not varnished yet.
Okay.
I have a light right here
that giving me that nice glow.
shining, but the surface is PVC panel. It's a PVC board, not primed, just painting right on the PVC.
Okay.
It's a real nice slick surface, and it's super fun to paint on. I brought this painting out to show you guys. This is a painting that I did in a workshop, I want to say 10 years ago. It was a demo I did at the Morton Arboretum. It's an arboretum we have here in Chicago. It's just a cluster of hydrangeas, but it showcases again the background, middle ground, foreground,
Just
dark,
what we talked about
light,
in a
and middle
painting.
values. And it's a super simple formula. Not that I use formulas, but to organize and create dynamic paintings, try to keep it as simple as possible, your shapes, and play with color within that same value range or that same value bracket. So I have variations of dark colors of red and green, that kind of, and purple in here,
Yeah.
that fall into that value bracket, the dark value bracket here. Within the light shapes, I have light colors of orange and yellow and blue and some gray. So I'm playing with the colors within the light value bracket. And then in the middle values down in here, I just keep those colors in the middle values. And it doesn't matter what color you throw in there, as long as the value of that color matches the value of the shape that you're painting in, your paintings will be much more dynamic. So they say, the value carries the painting, and the value does the work and the color gets the glory, is so true that once you get your values down and the value plan, then play with the colors. And if the colors are matching the value that you have in that shape, put them down there. And you do this in pastel all the time, right? You're painting to the value of the scene within there, and you're throwing different colors that are in that value into that scene, and It's all holding together. You get some people organize their pastels by color. I would encourage you to organize it by value. So
Mm.
all your light values are in one panel, all your middle values are in another, and all your darks are in another panel. Now you're seeing values and you're picking up a value. It's a dark value, but you don't really care what color it is. As long as you put that in there, it's
Mhm.
it's gonna be a beautiful painting. Okay. Just
One of the people asked if you use PVC for all of your paintings.
no, I love painting on canvas. These are on linen, but I'm enjoying the textures that, you know, I'll throw some turpentine on there on the wet canvas on the first wash, and the turpentine will kind of push that pigment away and leave me some really nice textures. You could see it on this one. So all these little dots, and I call them pixie dust,
Mhm.
just kind of create this really neat organic texture that I may cover that up with opaque paint later on, or, you know, it looks like lichen on the tree right in here. But it really, like a watercolor painting, painter may use water or salt to achieve that texture within that center of interest. I'm using turpentine and oil. For oil paint, I'm using a kind of a walnut alkyd medium. So I'm using like maybe 50% this, 50% Gamsol in my underpainting. And then and you'll see my underpainting go. And then I'll spatter it with a little turpentine. But do this outside. I'll do it inside here because I got my door wide open, I got windows open, and got a lot of air coming through here. So but normally I don't spatter inside the studio. Turpentine is not good to breathe. Well, let me show you something else. I use this in my classes, my workshops, where I teach about the power of contrast in designing your centers of interest. So understand the power of contrast. And I picked out 12 samples of contrast in action within your designs. If you understand how powerful the contrast is in attracting the eye, the human eye, it's going to do wonders to your overall design. So this first square up in here is the contrast between light and dark. So your shapes, as they come closer, if you're looking at this scene right here, your eye is attracted to that contrast immediately. So understand that by understanding how the closeness of this proximity of light is to dark, and everything else is kind of all kind of grayed and muted, but that contrast is capturing your attention. So brushwork, the contrast between quick and active brushwork and soft brushwork, or quiet brushwork, quiet and active brushwork. The contrast between that, your eyes are going to be attracted to the active brushwork. The contrast between placement within the overall composition. So this is that 1 to 1.6 ratio. So the golden ratio hotspots are in these 4 areas. Pick one and then build everything around that. So in this one, I have the lower right. Intensity of color, bright versus gray. So the contrast between your bright colors and the gray colors are really going to be attractive.
That's just like your rainbow shot.
The rainbow.
Yeah, are you talking?
Okay, let's continue. The contrast between warm temperature and cool temperatures. Contrast between hard edges and softer edges. You know, leave your hard edges at the center or area of interest. Soften those areas off that are not in that area of interest. Sizes, the contrast between big sizes of your shapes and small sizes. Your eyes are going to be attracted to the small sizes. Uniqueness or sameness. So if the overall painting, 80% of that is all same, your uniqueness within those shapes, the contrast between purple and yellow, and that white spot there, your eye is going right here. Gaps or anomalies in patterns. So you have patterns of dripping lines here, and then you counteract that with a horizontal brush stroke. That's a gap or anomaly in the overall pattern. Your eye is going to be attracted to that. Leading lines also helps bring the eye to where you want it to be. Tangents or dynamic tension. You see this often in architecture, where you've got roof lines that are almost touching. That's a tension point within your composition that you want to. You don't want them to actually touch, but just touching barely is going to bring that energy and that activity to that area. And then anytime you have a human element within your composition. In this case, I have a little person here. He's behind nice orange shape. So I'm using multiple versions of this to, again, to indicate where I want your eye to go or the area of focus. So anytime there's a person or a living being or evidence of human activity, maybe an architectural element in here, a little house or a little home, your eye is immediately going to be attracted to that area. So by understanding the power that contrast has within your paintings, next time you look at a painting, find several of these working in that same painting. Again, your understanding of this is going to make your paintings that much stronger. Let me pull a few more from Paris or Provence. So we stayed at the Fountains of Vaucluse. It's a little town in Provence that had. Sorry, I didn't post these up here, but it has this almost teal aqua color water running through that river here. And then I have a nice vertical element here of houses and so the contrast between the overall greens and blues up against the dark or the lightness, that's the light is shining on that house out there. And then I added some warmth out in here. So that my area of focus is this lower right corner right in here. But everything else supports that. Yeah, I think that's, any questions so far? How are we doing? It's 9 o'clock.
Can you re-show that Placerita Canyon painting? That was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, this one?
Yes, that is gorgeous.
Okay, so here's
Picture.
here's all those, several of those powers of contrast in action. So my warm area is right in here, my lightest area up against, my bigger lighter shapes are up against this dark shape right in through here. I love the 80-20 rule, where 80% of this painting is cool darks and 20% are warm lights. If you follow that 80-20 rule, your paintings are going to look more dynamic, more action packed. If you get to that 50-50, 50% light, 50% dark, 50% cool, 50% warm, you're getting boring paintings. You're going to get not as dynamic as they could be. I like calling this the David and Goliath approach to design, where that my hero in the painting is right in through here. Okay, this warm light coming through here, that's where I want the eyes to look at. That's where I want the hero of the story to be. Everything else is the Goliath. This is the cold, dark giant versus the hero, which is light, the warm light. And you want your hero to win the story. You want your the giant to be defeated. So simplify your shadow areas as much as possible. I may go over this with some glazes, push back some of that light in the shadow areas even more to really pop up the warmth in this area. Go over it with a nice warm glaze. So I'm having fun with this one. Any other questions?
You were saying that the first 20 minutes is kind of sets the tone for the whole painting.
Yes.
And then what do you do with the other time?
The other, well, this painting that I'll do, this 24 by 30 painting, will take about 20 minutes to block in. I'll cover the entire canvas with that 20% to 80%, the 20% warm light, 80% cool darks. And if I get it in the first 20 minutes, I'll know if it's a successful painting. If it's not working, I'll wipe it down and start again. That way you're not spending 2-3 hours wondering if this painting is going to work. If you can get it in 10 minutes, as fast as you can with the biggest brushes you can, and you understand the overall design, the painting, the chances of success for a successful painting is going to go up. So that's the way I love painting that way. It gets all the energy out and onto that canvas. Super fun way of painting. Any other questions? If not, let's get going. So it's 7:16 where you guys are. So give me about a 20-minute countdown if you can. and then we'll stop and we'll talk about it. I'm gonna get these paintings out of the way. And whenever you can, paint standing up. It gives your whole painting a whole different energy. Oh, do you want to go over my equipment for plein air painting? Let's do that.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so this is too big of a piece to put into my mast. So I got a mat. This is called a mast, which is just a piece that fits on. It adjusts. I could put a canvas in here, and it fits on the hot shoe of any kind of tripod. So that's a nice mast made by Leader Easel, LEDER easel, Leader Easel. I've got a box here, a 12 by 16 box made by James Coulter at artboxandpanel.com. This would work really well for pastels. This is my nifty little cardboard box. These have all my really good tools in here. Some paint in there. Big brushes. I get $1.50 brushes from Ace Hardware. Nice 2-inch brush. These are little color shapers. I'll be using these tonight. Some knives for mixing paint. I gotta clean this out. There's too much stuff. Little pink pearls. I'll show you how those work. Kind of in association with little beauty blenders. I've been playing with these beauty blenders. We went through Nordstrom's and they had all these things out in little jars at their like perfume counter. And I go, can I take a few of these? And she hands me this whole giant bag of them.
Cool.
So I've been playing with these in Paris and Provence and Dubuque, Iowa. And these are great for making marks in your oil paint that you don't want to scratch
The surface, yeah.
to the pure white of the canvas. So these make real soft, gentle marks, I've been finding. So I'm a big fan of the beauty blenders. Various pencils and things like that. But I do have to clean this thing. Well, this is a fun little tool. This is my phi gauge, which is kind of referencing the golden ratio of 1 to 1.618. So if I'm using this on my painting, I'm gonna say my golden ratio area of this painting is gonna be right in here. Likewise, I'll use this. So this is a 24 by 30 panel. That's pretty close. So I could use that as a reference tool. So the intersection of those 4 lines are giving me 4 areas of the canvas that I could put my center of interest in. And for this scene, the center of interest is going to be the contrast between the light back in here and this darker tree right in through here. So in this case, it's going to be right through here. So these are probably for this painting, the only marks I'm going to make on the can. You probably don't even see that on there. It's super fine, but it's enough for me to see. Adjust this. It's a great easel. It'll lay perfectly flat too if I'm painting watercolor. So I love using gloves because it gets awfully messy to clean up. So I'm going to paint like this as much as possible so you guys can see. Slide that over. You know, pour out my walnut oil. I'm painting on a underlayment I buy at Lowe's. It's called Revolution Ply. I don't know if you guys have it out in California, but it's a like 5 millimeter, like 1/8 inch thick underlayment. I buy it in 4x8 sheets. I get them to cut it 2 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot by 4 feet. So I get actual 24 inches. And then that fourth piece is a little short. It's like 22 and 23 and a half. But the 24 by 48 panels, I'll then prime with Bin Zinzer shellac. It's a beautiful primer. You can paint acrylic over it. You can't do watercolor, but oil paint, it takes oil paint beautifully. And the beauty of it is it dries in 15 minutes.
Would you be able to do pastels over that?
I wouldn't do pastels over it. You could. You'd want a rougher surface. This is a slick surface.
And what is that called again?
It's called Revolution Ply. Revolution Ply. It's about $24 a sheet. $24 for a 4x8 sheet. So.
And then what is it that you put on as the ground?
Oh, Bin Zinzer. Bin is the company. No, Zinzer is the company. Bin is the brand. And it's synthetic shellac paint. So if you're an oil painter, you're typically painting on an acrylic primed canvas. Give yourself a coat of Gamsol on that acrylic primed canvas. It's going to prime the canvas and allow oil paint to really adhere to it. The gesso that they prime it with is very absorbent in it, and that first layer of Gamsol just kind of primes the canvas. I do that for shellac panels too. So let's add some bright colors. I want that slight diagonal through that. This is mostly transparent oil paint I'm using. It has no white in it. Had a nice dark woodsy thing right down in through here. A lot of ultramarine blue. Got a nice meridian thing in here too. And that as it comes up, it's getting more sunlit. I'm tapping into the warmer greens, but still dark. Gotta remember I'm inside my house. Normally I'm splashing paint on this thing if I'm outside. It's quite the show. This is the warm earth that we're seeing down in here. Always good to have a nice warm base. The earth is showing through.
One of our participants asked that can you guys hear me? I'm not sure. Linda, can you hear me? Okay. If any of you wrote down the products, if you could list them in the chat, because they couldn't write fast enough.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, so okay, so good. Bin Zinzer.
BIN.
Mm-hmm.
Bin is the
manufacturer.
no, Zinzer is the manufacturer.
Okay.
Bin is it's like you go to the hardware store and you look at Kills.
Right.
Or this is another primer. Get it at Ace Hardware.
Oh, thank you.
That's
And fine.
see the Zinzer up there.
Mm-hmm.
Bin Zinzer primer. What's that say? Ultimate stain blocker. Synthetic shellac. Oops, where'd it go?
You know, Steve, I think that you're rubbing the Gamsol in is similar to the pastel painters here that spray not turpentine, you got alcohol onto their surfaces to get the run.
Yes.
and it fills in all of those little holes, so you don't need to go back later.
Yes.
The other thing I would comment on is I think that most of the colors you're using in your oil painting, if you use the similar colors in your pastels, uh, they're very close.
Yeah, it's the earth colors. It's they're all kind of like the same pigment, really.
And I got a very nice thing recently. It's called the Painter's I gotta think about this. So it's sitting around here somewhere. Anyhow, it's a palette book, and you take for every painting you do if you want to. I wanted it because I have a friend who's a very good acrylic painter, and he does some interesting stuff. So what you're able to do is put a swab of paint in each area and then write your project name on it.
Oh man.
I'll just leave my chair here a second to find it.
One of the second best brushes I have are these shop towels from Costco. These blue shop towels are incredible for making marks, softening edges.
I'll put this in the chat if anybody's interested. It's called the Painter's Color Diary. And so, for example, here's something I just started. So I'm able to put the color mixes down. It's really cool to have.
So this is the beauty blenders in here.
Yeah, those are cool.
Whenever you're doing a tree, pastels, you could do this in pastel too. You know, get the vertical element, you know, the gestural flow of that branch going up, and follow, you know, the growth lines of that. But then come in with the side of the charcoal or the side of the pastel and just get some horizontal lines and movement perpendicular, you know, to that growth line. It's just going to slow the eye down when you're doing all these vertical elements of a tree. You see that horizontal line visually, and you stop. It's just a beautiful way of again slowing that eye down. Get some nice thin lines in here. then let me do a little bit of spattering on the. Let me show you guys up close what it looks like before the spatter. So it's nice and clean and shiny, and what the spatter does is it creates interest or texture exactly where I want it. Gives me opens up ideas. Ooh, I love that smell. You can only smell this turpentine. Oh my goodness. Beautiful. So that little bit of texture right in through here is something that I want to keep. It's using this again, several light versus dark, active brushwork versus the quiet brushwork up in here, the placement, the warm versus the cool, big shapes versus small shapes. So there's several of these in works in this painting. This was too active. It was too bright of a contrast. So it's my job to quiet that area down a little bit. Any questions so far? I'm going to add a few distant trees. I think that's a good start of that painting.
Yeah, that's great.
So I've got everything I have going on in here. This could be a little bit darker, this tree trunk. I might have wiped too much off. I'm going to go with warmer. So the thing I'm thinking in my head is value and temperature. The two things at this stage. Are my values working? Is the temperature communicating what I want it to communicate? I'm going to cap this turpentine. And yeah, you guys can see it. There we go. That's better. So that's the start of the painting. So right now I could see that this is gonna be a successful painting. I'll let this dry and then start putting opaque passages on this to define, push back different things, darken up this area a little bit, bring leaves and foliage in here. I'll throw in my light areas down in here. I'll throw very light radiant violets. So the value of that violet is the same value as the yellow, but it reads all as one shape. Playing with the bracketed values concept. The dark greens will have, you know, bluer greens up in here, even some darker violets up into this area down in through here. Again, a super fun way of painting. You're just using the photograph as inspiration, but this is where the magic should happen. Don't feel like you're tied to this photograph at all. Boy, that disappears in there. As soon as that disappears, you know your values are pretty good.
Well, you asked for a countdown. It's 7:45 now. 44.
It's way past my bedtime.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But maybe when you come out, you can
No,
rush
that's okay.
a few more students.
Yeah.
Which that would be great. As a group, we're always able to recommend to our board people that would like to have us out, or people with also that would like to have to judge a show.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
think just so everybody, I just got hooked on trees, and so I'm going to have a theme Thursday in the next couple of weeks called The Anatomy of the Tree. So I think that'll be a fun one. And the gal who is that I've been getting all this information from, Dana Brodsky. I don't know if you know Dana, but I asked for her material list and it was just huge. But the one thing is she has worked in every single sketchbook that's been manufactured to try them all out. And the thing that was interesting, I got a sketchbook that's 9x12. It's a nice sketchbook by Stillman and Byrne. But
Stillman and Byrne.
yeah, but I really like, I'm thinking about when I travel or go out to do studies, I really like the size that you have, more of like a 6x8.
This one
That
yeah.
looked like a 6x8. I think that's better to actually pack up.
This one doesn't have a. Yeah, I don't have a tape measure here.
But the interesting thing is they do have sketchbooks that take mixed media. I mean, the one that I have is basically used for pen. It'll take a watercolor or ink wash.
Okay.
But there are some ones that actually fold out flat that you can do a complete oil painting on,
Oh,
which
wow.
I think, yeah,
Like across the spine. too?
yes.
Oh,
So
that's-
when you open it up, the spine actually goes out like another inch, so it'll dry flat, which
oh,
I just,
wow.
yeah. So anyhow, I will send that info to you and the rest of the
Definitely.
group.
I'm always looking for a good sketchbook.
Well, the guy who does the best is actually in England.
Oh.
And I wrote him that I wanted one of the, because he hand makes all of his sketchbooks.
Oh man. Okay.
And they wrote me back that he won't have any until October 16th. So I actually put in my date book October the 16th to order one.
Oh, good. Yeah, send me his info. I'd love
Yeah, I
that.
will.
Yeah, I'm constantly using sketchbooks, filling them up,
Hmm.
going into a new one, and you know, I love writing as well. So I'll, you know, write notes and little stories and
Well,
little-
I know that occasionally I've gotten a letter from somebody and they've actually put a little color sketch in it.
oh wow,
Like,
okay.
I don't throw those away. They're keepsakes.
They are.
Yeah. So I might think about that, particularly your collectors. I think it's a lovely thing to do. I'm working with some really good marketing people up here, Steve.
Well, we love where are you guys located mostly?
These guys are pretty far south of me. I'm located in Camarillo. I'm like the
The northern.
Oh, and also Pam, where do you live? You're up there.
I live in Corona near Riverside.
Okay. So we're all kind of spread around, but
All near
um
LA?
no,
We're
most
basically, I would say we're basically LA County, Orange County, Riverside County, Ventura County,
Okay.
Southern California, just basically I mean, we're all spread out.
My daughter lives in Santa Clarita.
that's
Oh.
close to us.
Yeah.
We're out there, you know. I'd love to give a workshop in boy, right next to their town is
Santa Paula?
it's
No.
no, it's a little park. It's a park that Harry Carey, the actor Harry Carey, had a little.
Oh, Newhall? Is it Newhall?
It could be Newhall, yeah.
Or Bouquet
Little,
Canyon.
little haciendas and little outhouses. He lived there, and then they made it this beautiful park out of it.
I know that part.
Do you? Okay. I'd love to do a workshop right there. My daughter lives, you know, probably a quarter of a mile away from there
Mm,
in the little housing
Nice.
complex just up there. Yeah, so yeah, so maybe next time, you know, I'm out there, we could
That'd be
arrange it.
great.
I did a demo at DreamWorks over in February when I was
Mhm.
out there, and a number of the animators in DreamWorks wanted me to do a workshop as well. So
Well, you could just kind of work your way up the coast.
yeah, Santa Barbara, we love Santa Barbara.
mhm.
Everybody loves Santa
Yeah.
Barbara. Oh, God, it's so gorgeous.
Yeah. We took a couple of workshops and we just started getting going on plein air with Libby Tolley. I don't know if you follow her, Elizabeth Tolley.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Oil painter, watercolors first, and then oil painter. She's in
Mhm.
like near Cayucos, and an acrylic painter, Marcia Burt, out of Santa Barbara. Phenomenal artists. Yeah.
Well, I currently am in a show at the Crown Plaza Hotel.
How are you?
Oh,
I'm loving it because at first it seemed really dead, but then the 4 o'clock check-ins happened. We got real busy.
Then it's crazy.
But yeah, I think I can send you a few contacts that would be really interested in your work.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Good. Does anybody else have questions? Okay.
have you ever tried pastels, and what have you thought about it?
I love pastels. We have sets here, and we did that in life drawing pretty regularly. You know, life drawing in pastels, and I love it. The workshop I gave it was like 2 weeks ago in Indiana. It was a 3-day workshop on a farm. It's all medium workshop. About 4 ladies brought their pastels and they asked me to do a pastel demo. And I hadn't touched pastels in like 30 years. And I loved it. It worked. It turned out really, the painting turned out really nice. But I'm just following, again, the values, the contrast, the colors can get all kind of mixed up in there. The layering of that pastel was really nice. But as long as the values are there, the painting will hold together.
Mhm.
But it was fun. It was fun. It brought back a ton of memories.
Well, do we have any other questions from the group? We can let Steve go to bed.
I just want to say thank you. Although I was listening, I could hear and I could see you as well, but I enjoyed the reminders, the 80-20, I know the golden mean, but yeah, that was really great because, we need to keep ourselves not overwhelmed by our beautiful photo, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that 80-20 was a great tip. I wrote that down right away.
Right
Yeah.
next to it, put David and Goliath. You're always looking
Right.
for that hero.
David and Goliath.
David
Thank
and
you very
Goliath.
much.
I think it's really interesting that it doesn't matter. People think that the tools are going to make the painting, where it's really the basis, the skills, like what you were talking about. That doesn't matter whether you're doing watercolor, oils, gouache, pastels.
It comes down to the understanding the values and how strong those values are and where you want that contrast to be. Once you design it here, that's the easy part.
Mhm.
The painting almost paints itself, and you give yourself that, especially in watercolor. When I teach watercolorists, I encourage them to influence just to the point. It's almost like a dance where you have to allow the water and the pigment and the paper for some freedom to move and time to move. If you're trying to control every little aspect of that painting, it's gonna turn out poorly. Versus if you gave that painting some freedom, some movement, and work with those beautiful serendipitous moments where you could not have possibly thought of that beginning at the beginning, but you allowed it to happen. It's a beautiful dance.
Do you have any go-to art books that you like?
Yes. Let me see some right here. If you have not, Andrew Loomis,
Oh, I love Andrew Loomis.
get this one, everybody. This is a beautiful one. It's got the writings are so well done, but he goes into illustration, and just this page alone right here, providing a pathway in the composition. This page alone is worth its weight in gold for the book.
And his books have the last few years have been reprinted.
Yes.
They had gone out of print. And
Who's the author?
Andrew Loomis.
Is a really
Andrew Loomis. Thank you.
Steve, did he go to the academy or did he teach there? Because I think I have like 5 of his books.
Yeah, they're all upstairs. We have a library upstairs. Books are at. Well, anything that Richard Schmidt drew or wrote, the Alla Prima books. If you haven't gotten any of those are really worth investing in. So definitely the Alla Prima. I love the. It's a hard read, but the Edgar Payne's books on landscape composition for outdoor painting by Edgar Payne.
The other book I picked up recently was Alan Flatman, How to Paint in Pastel.
Oh, okay.
And I'm really digging it.
I don't know if Albert Handel wrote any books.
Yeah, no, he in fact we have him coming out to Rancho Palos Verdes.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh,
And he wrote a book called, that's a book I've had out lately just because he demonstrated it at IAPS, the International Association of Pastel Artists.
okay.
And it was fascinating, and picked up his books because like you, he has a lot of those good tips like David and Goliath, and he loves color in trees, which so it's a great book. The nice thing is at our society, we actually have like a book lending library. So we don't have to buy all the expensive books and, share with other people.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple
That
of
was-
artists I would recommend following. Gouache artist Mike Hernandez.
He's great.
Is doing some great work on, again, composition, shapes, shape making, and it doesn't matter the medium. You can learn from his work. Nathan Fawkes is another painter in the industry, in the entertainment industry.
Nathan Fouts did a color study every night.
He did.
And what was funny is when he went on his honeymoon, we all asked him if he did a color study. But
Nathan Fox's book is really good.
Yeah.
read that a couple times, and